For decades, the world has been told the same story, that Africa is poor, dependent, and always in need of saving. But what if that story was designed to hide something much bigger? What if, beneath the headlines, there exists an entire hidden economy, worth more than $10 trillion, operating quietly beneath the radar of the global financial system? An economy built not on handouts, but on resources, trade, and innovation that the world's richest powers would rather keep secret. This is the story of Africa's $10 trillion shadow economy, the one they don't want you to know about. Africa has always been portrayed as the world's charity case, a continent defined by crisis, famine, and foreign aid. Yet behind that curtain lies another truth. Western institutions, from the IMF to multinational corporations, have long relied on Africa's raw materials, labor, and markets to keep their own economies alive. The reality is simple. Africa is not poor. It is unimaginably rich in minerals, energy, agriculture, and most of all, in people. Every smartphone, every electric car, every airplane, every battery that powers the modern world traces its origin back to African soil. Gold from Ghana, cobalt from Congo, lithium from Zimbabwe, oil from Nigeria. Africa fuels modern civilization. When you add up the value of Africa's declared reserves, gold, diamonds, oil, gas, copper, cobalt, you get more than $30 trillion. But that's just what's been officially recorded. Economists estimate that another $10 trillion lies hidden, wealth that moves through informal networks, private deals, and untaxed trade routes far beyond the reach of Western banks. $10 trillion, more than the GDP of Japan and Germany combined. The question is, who really controls it? Across the continent, 85% of economic activity happens in what economists call the informal sector. From market traders in Lagos and gold miners in Burkina Faso to farmers in Uganda and textile workers in Ghana, millions operate outside formal systems. They don't appear in the data sheets or tax records, but together they generate more than $1 trillion every year. This is Africa's real economy, fluid, fast, adaptive, and owned by Africans themselves. While the West battles inflation and stagnation, these informal networks are growing, powered by mobile banking, digital currencies, and community trade. Kenya's M-Pesa system alone moves billions every year. Nigeria's crypto traders are building decentralized markets. In these silent systems, Africa's hidden economy thrives, invisible to global institutions but deeply connected at the grassroots. Western experts often speak of a resource trap. They say Africa is cursed with wealth, but they forget to mention who holds the contracts. Take cobalt. 70% of the world's supply comes from the Congo, yet nearly every mine is owned by foreign corporations. The same with gold in Burkina Faso, uranium in Niger, oil in Angola. The wealth is African. The profits are not. That's why official GDPs look small, because the real money leaves the continent before it can be counted. But quietly, that's beginning to change. Across West and Central Africa, new trade routes are forming, ones not mapped by the IMF or the World Bank. In Mali, Niger, and Benin, gold and rare metals are being traded peer-to-peer, often exchanged for digital currency or local goods instead of dollars. These flows are hard to track, but they empower local economies and create independence from foreign financial systems. It's risky, it's raw, but it's African-owned. Meanwhile, new players have entered the stage: China, Russia, Turkey, India, and the Gulf states. They see what Western powers long ignored, that Africa's strength lies not only in its minerals, but in its control of the future. Chinese firms are building railways, ports, and power stations, often paid in resource rights rather than cash. Russia trades military support for mining concessions. Western analysts call it neocolonialism 2.0, but for many African leaders it's leverage, a way to play global powers against each other and finally bargain from a position of strength. At the same time, a powerful African middle class is rising. More than 350 million people with disposable income, driving demand for technology, housing, fashion, and education. They are investors, innovators, and creators shaping Africa's new narrative. From fintech in Lagos to solar power startups in Kigali, a generation of entrepreneurs is redefining wealth, not as extraction, but as innovation. The hidden economy is stepping into the light. Governments are adapting too. Nigeria is regulating cryptocurrency instead of banning it. Kenya is merging traditional banks with mobile fintech systems. Ghana is using blockchain to track gold exports and stop smuggling. And in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, new governments are pushing for full national control of mining and energy. The old model of exporting raw wealth and importing finished goods is dying. A new era of African self-reliance is emerging. Behind closed doors, Western financial institutions are watching with concern. Because if Africa's hidden economy becomes formalized, digitalized, and interconnected, it could become the largest emerging market in the world, a new global financial frontier outside the dollar system. That means less dependence on Western loans, fewer IMF programs, and less control from former colonial powers. And that's why you want to see this story on major Western networks. Because a financially independent Africa is a geopolitical earthquake. In cities like Lagos, Accra, Kigali, and Nairobi, Africa's digital transformation is accelerating. Fintech companies like Flutterwave, Chippercash, and Paystack are handling billions in transactions each year, connecting small traders to international markets and breaking down barriers between informal and formal sectors. They are mapping the invisible economy, giving it shape, data, and power. Once that visibility reaches critical mass, global finance will have to rewrite the rules. So, who really controls Africa's $10 trillion secret economy today? It's a mix of local entrepreneurs, underground traders, community networks, and yes, still some foreign interests. But the balance is shifting. With new technology, regional trade agreements, and a generation of bold, connected Africans, control is returning to where it always belonged, the continent itself. For centuries, Africa's wealth built cities in Europe, powered industries in America, and supplied resources for Asia's rise. But now, in this digital and geopolitical awakening, Africa's wealth is finally turning inward, building its own roads, industries, and institutions. The real revolution isn't political, it's economic. Quiet, invisible, and unstoppable. The secret isn't that Africa is rich. The secret is that the world has known it all along and chose to pretend otherwise. But the silence is breaking. Africa's story is no longer being written for it. It's being written by it. And this time, the world will have no choice but to listen.